passe l'artiste. Super, encore un but sensationnel. That's a brilliant bit of follow-up play by Mahe. Oh my goodness me, what a shot.
Sagosen setter det hen! Han setter den! Vi i semifinale igjen!
Hello everyone, Chris O'Reilly here, and as you can probably tell from my voice, it's a little bit tired after a long weekend at the EHF Final4 and a little bit of singing as well at the end of the evening. Just a quick word before you listen to this pod. It's actually a mixture of two shows we did during the EHF Final4 weekend live in Cologne. We were doing the live shows from the outside of Lanxess Arena as part of that 54-hour non-stop stream on Twitch. So first, you'll hear chat from Saturday after the semi-finals. You'll also hear a little bit of chat about a great giveaway we did, where we gave away 2 tickets to next year's EHF Final4, which is really nice. That was happening live at the time, so you can ignore that. Those tickets are gone. And then on Sunday, in part 2, we were joined by Nedzad Smajlagic before Brian also joined midway through when he was done with his duties in the arena. So now you know, let's get on with the show.
Let's start with emotions. I think for a lot of people, today was an explosion of emotions to just be back in a full arena, have fans going crazy everywhere, and have 2 really exciting games. So, Chris, as your first ever EHF Final4 as a commentator.
On the men's side.
On the men's side.
Yes.
You'll never catch him out with that stuff.
I'm a feminist, Alex.
What were your feelings going into it and when you saw the arena?
Seeing the arena is normal enough. I've been coming here for 10 years. But yeah, you know, taking that spot on the second row among the commentators with, you know, Joachim Boltzen and Victor Tomas and all the lads and ladies there. That was nice. And yeah, to be honest, it was funny because Nagore, who is one of the mobile reporters working alongside Brian, I was chatting to her for a second, and she's like, "Oh, you're the only one I've met who's not running around like a headless chicken saying, 'Oh my God, the Final Four!'" And I think the good thing is that well, we've done these teams so many times this season, and we've talked about them over and over again. So in that sense, it was kind of just like, you know, a normal game. But then, when like the Veszprem roar came at the beginning of that first game, and it really got started, and being so close to the action as well, because sitting in the second row there, you get really close to it, and you watch it in a different way than when you look at the screen. And so, yeah, then I really got into it, as you can tell from by my voice right now, which is not that this usually happens, I think, in the first day of the Final Four for me, and then it comes back very quickly. It didn't break though, which I'm happy about. Unlike the women's Final Four last year.
I love it.
That didn't happen.
And you mentioned headless chickens, right?
Yeah.
So Brian, how was your day?
Yeah, I was a full-on chicken with no head. I know it was the hottest Final Four in living memory, inside and outside. So
and in the action.
And in the action, I'd say as well, yeah. So it was just hot all around everywhere, and there was a lot of stuff going on today. Outside, there was millions of activations and various champions from the Champions Club running around the place doing various things. So it was really full of action everywhere across the board, and yeah, I think the first thing that I noticed was the Kielce fans outside. They were just absolutely going crazy, and the Veszprem fans were quite calm. And then I was quite surprised then when we got into the arena there was none of that. It was pretty much 50-50 in terms of how loud they were.
Yeah. And what are your actual emotions there? You talked about you were very EHF marketing there.
Yeah, sorry.
Activations.
What is an activation?
Now, I think whoever sits in this seat kind of speaks strangely every day. You yesterday maybe the 2-1 and the 2-over, whatever you're saying to me, but I'm talking about activations. No, but I loved it. It was the first event I've been to in a really long time where I was like, this is... Now we truly are back and back in business. A really packed out arena, and you could feel that people were riling to go.
And we'll talk about the handball later, but I think that also had a real tangible effect on the way the matches were played. Like, away from all the tactical things, who played what, but like the intensity of the games and the way the games were played, the pace the games were played, I think like that was due in part to these players playing in front of 20,000 people for the first time. Some of them ever, but for many of them the first time in like 3 or 4 years. And that really just like got everyone running around like headless chickens at times.
My emotions were of pure awe, because the last time I got an opportunity to see some top level live handball, I got COVID and spent a week in a room in Budapest. So this time around, I was able to go into the arena and experience, as you said, the roar from the Hungarian fans, the singing from the Kielce fans, and the rhythmic clapping of THV.
Now let's give those Kiel fans more credit. They did an awful lot of whistling and booing as well today.
They did.
We'll talk about more, sir.
So, should we get into the games then?
Let's talk a bit of handball.
Let's do it. It's no. Hey, who's that? Stevets Berlin says, guys, stop joining the giveaway. No. Do the opposite.
Keep joining the giveaway.
You keep joining. And Stevets Berlin, you're close to disqualifying yourself here.
Yes.
So, and then he says, nice pictures. He's a bit of ass kissing there, but that's good as well.
I do see
that's
that
really good.
Steve G. Berlin, which I presume is the same person, did follow us on Instagram.
Nice.
So I'm checking. So
Zebra with a plan, or with no plan, is also entered and is excited to win this. It's a big prize.
It's a huge prize. I'm just going to put it on our... No, that doesn't make any sense. I was going to put it on our own social media. They already follow us.
Let's talk handball.
Yes, let's talk handball.
And let's talk about probably the most anticipated game this weekend, which was Kielce versus Veszprém. There was this talk of the 2016 final. I watched it with Julian Galde.
That was really
today.
Good, by the way. Well done.
It was incredible to see his emotions and his approach to that game as well. But there's talk of revenge. There was the two big fan bases. And we got a game that started out lightning fast. Were you able to keep up with it, Chris?
It was really, it took 10 minutes, I think, until... And then all of a sudden, I think it was 9.5 minutes of the game, and then everyone just kind of took a collective breath. One of the teams finally just stopped attacking at 100%, and they're like, and I said it in the commentary, I was like, all right, 10 minutes played, we can all breathe now, because it was electric, and both really just were going at it like full hog, like it was non-stop. Both teams doing very well as well. Like, what a start from Yahia Omar. He was brilliant. Kantan Mahé was brilliant on the Veszprém side. I was really feeling good about Veszprém, like throughout the whole first half, but particularly at the beginning. Like, I think they needed to prove to themselves that they were up for this. And a couple of big saves from Corrales as well. Besides that, there were no saves.
A couple of big saves. Yeah. Corrales had 10 saves in the first half.
I'm talking the first 10 minutes.
First
still.
10 minutes here. still in the first 10 minutes.
Yeah. And both teams really going at it, like as you said, lightning fast start. But you knew that both teams probably couldn't keep at that pace, but it was going to take something special to stop them.
Yeah, because a common opinion when I was talking to some journalists during the game, then they were saying it seems to them that a few of the key Veszprém players completely burnt themselves out in the first half, and then by the second half, it seemed that Kielce had the better options coming off the bench. Did you feel that as well?
Yeah, so this is something that Christian Schwarzer, who joined us between the two games, actually mentioned. He said that it was Talent Dushabaev's tactics that won the game, and in terms of tactics, it was using his full squad and basically having 15-minute slots for different players. We saw like Holger Thrasterson and he scored an unbelievable underarm shot just out of nowhere when they needed him. But what was huge for Kielce is that when they threw these players on, Thrasterson, Kulesh had a fantastic game today out of nowhere.
Danny Dushabayev played as a playmaker and was really, really good.
And they all, even if they had 5 or 10 minutes, they just performed. And when they did that, they also gave rest to the big stars in the team, and that was the difference. Veszprem burnt out while Kielce were looking fresh.
But the 34th minute as well, the red card to Blaz, I think also was a bit of a turning point. I mean, it was the defence in the first half for Veszprem that looked absolutely incredible, and then Blaz, I think he holds the record now for the most red cards at Final Fours. I think that's his 3rd one, and he's the only person to ever do that before. So
it was such an unnecessary.
It
was such an unnecessary thing to do. All it was a little tug at the back of the jersey, while it was Branko Vujovic, right? It was in the air, and it's just like you could see it in his face. The camera cut to him a few times, and it's just like, you donkey, why? Why?
That's why he never gets nominated to our Shithousery Award. Well, because
he never gets away with it.
He never gets away with it because he's just brutal.
He's too honest.
He's too honest and too clumsy, and he keeps doing it. And it was a huge turning point in the game. And it wasn't just the fact that they lost him, who's their starting line player. It just completely destroyed their attack and defensive switches. So basically it meant that they couldn't have at any stage a line player that played attack and defense. There was a moment where Adrian Šipos actually went into attack, and Yahya Omar broke through, gave him a little ball down, and Šipos just moved to the wrong side. And it made Omar really angry. He was like, "Wow, get this guy off." He didn't say that. He is a bit too nice to say that, but his emotions said, "Get him off." It was only Andy Nielsen in attack, but of course Andy Nielsen doesn't defend. So then it meant that they were doing a defensive substitution for the line player straight away. So when they had Blaz in, he could run up the court, they could play the first and second wave, and then make the substitution if needed. Now they're making 2 substitutions every time, and Kielce caught them on the fast break a couple of times. But it also meant that Canton Maye couldn't play. He was the sacrifice within that swap because Makeda had to come in on defense to play centre back, but Omar was having such a good game, so he had to play.
And Ligidvari had to come in at times.
And Ligidvari had to come in as a defender. So they had to bring in 2 centre block defenders every time, and it didn't quite work. And basically Canton Maye was the sacrifice there. He couldn't come off in defence.
And he was so good in the first half.
So good.
There were so many times in that first half where he, particularly down the left-hand side, Lauga played him the ball and he was like, "I'm not messing around here. I'm going to attack and I'm going to create a space for Sterlek on the left-hand side to score." And he did it over and over again. And that whole transition attack disappeared then in the second half, which was a key thing.
Yeah.
I want to hear your hot takes now, because you promised us hot takes a bit earlier on about Peter Nedzad.
Ask me about Peter Nedzad.
Okay, 1 second. Okay, we'll move on next to Peter Nedzad. Alex, what did you think of Peter Nedzad's? Can't speak. Peter Nedzad's game.
He was an absolute disgrace. That's how far I want to go with this, and it's.
Go on, please.
Maybe too much, but it's not because of his game today. It was because of his attitude.
Right.
That's why I think he's a disgrace. Not because of the way he played. Every time he came into the court, so he didn't start, which is really interesting because
top scorer. Yeah.
He's their top scorer. He's been their big player, so he didn't start for the first 15 minutes, and I think that affected him. Someone like Nenadic, I think, takes that personally. No matter what sweet-talking Ilic is going to do with him and how much he trusts him, someone like Nenadic, who knows that he's their best player in his mind. I think he takes that personally. But the difference is, he didn't come in and say, I belong here, I need to prove that I'm going to win this game for Veszprém. He came in and said, I'm too good for this. I'm too good to come on as a sub. I'm going to saunter up and take a shot. The first shot he took was, he received it completely standing at 10 meters, took 2 steps, and just did a standing shot that got blocked straight away. And that attitude continued throughout the game. And I thought that was kind of a downfall for Veszprém today as well. So that's my hot take.
However,
how hot is that?
it was pretty hot. Pretty.
However, to balance out the
spicy.
journalism here, we're going to have Chris say why Peter.
I think you're a disgrace. No. But, and I see on your notes, like you've highlighted a key moment, which we're going to jump forward to, I guess. The 33-30, they were down. Nedzad gave the ball away, but in order for that to happen, he put in one hell of a piece of defensive work to turn the ball over. Now, Peter Nedzad, who is not up for it, doesn't put effort in defense. That was that was quite literal, and I said it, we've said it over and over again, but I said it in the broadcast as well, like you can, at the top of the show, you get the very best of him and the very worst of him in a split second, and that was quite literally it, where he managed that turnover and a great bit of defending, and then he literally threw the ball away. But there's a great replay of where he's throwing the ball. I think he got stuck in between, should I pass it to one of the guys on the break, because there was 2 of them there, or should I take the shot into an empty net? He was stuck in between the 2, and as soon as the ball was released, his mouth just went. There's a great camera angle of that, and that just really signifies the player he has. He didn't have the worst game in the world, but that's not what you're talking about.
Yeah, but it was also his reaction. So within that moment, again, his reaction after dropping the ball was to complain. Don't know what he was complaining about, but he stopped and threw a strop. And there was a couple of times throughout the day where basically that's what happened. When he missed the shot, he threw a bit of a strop. I think we have a comment that Chris really likes. If
I bring Chris beer on the commentary bench, can we make the tickets VIP? Yes, we can. I mean, I don't know who makes that decision. I guess if it happens on Twitch, if it happens on Twitch, then it happens, right? Yeah.
We can ask about it at least if you bring him a beer.
Is this anonymous person or is this somebody we know who's making this comment? Someone we know. I know it's someone we know, but are we allowed to say that? Producer Clemens. I think Clemens. The problem is that like Clemens hasn't been mentioned enough this week. That's what's happening? Like I haven't been part of this enough and mentioned Clemens enough over the last few days. Clemens was actually recognised for being Clemens from the live show in Budapest, so we need that to happen again this weekend. Does that make you feel better? Yeah.
But you know who was not a disgrace today?
Rasmus Lauge.
Rasmus.
What did I say yesterday?
What did you say yesterday?
He was my prediction for MVP for the whole weekend.
Okay.
Not going to happen now, though.
Not going to happen, but that performance was like one step towards being an MVP, and he is the person I feel most set for in this case because he didn't deserve that game.
He's phenomenal. Again, was not having a difference where he got on it, he got the ball, he wanted the ball, and he didn't receive it. He scored the crucial goals to keep Veszprém in the game throughout. And especially, I have to give credit to his defensive performance and those first 15 minutes where he shut Alex Dushabayev down. He really just completely shut him down one-on-one. Alex couldn't get a shot away. He's still making a couple of assists, but they changed from that, though, to bring Petr Nedzad in. Actually, that was the reason. 15 minutes they brought in Nedzad, which meant they switched the defensive rotation, and Alex Dushabayev got into the game.
Yeah.
Broader picture here now a little bit. I think it's fair to say Veszprem coming into this were not favourites at all by any means, in anyone's book really, to lift the trophy. But they've been here now how many times, Alex?
7.
Seven. Yes, I thought 7 as well. But is it turning into a little bit of a Final Four curse at this stage, or where did they go from here?
I think that curse was already there. I don't think this year makes it any worse for them. I think they did everything they could today. In terms of they were fair and square. They were the second best team, and also the surprising thing there is the goalkeepers. They couldn't get the job done, which happened in both semi-finals. Actually, the losing goalkeepers just didn't show up.
Well,
enough. They were when you're on 20%, like when you're on 0% in the second half.
Yeah,
that's
exactly.
what happens.
But I just wanted, we talked a lot about how Veszprem have the best duo. You know, they don't have one goalkeeper; they have 2. That's their big strength.
And we learned how to pronounce his name correctly yesterday,
Supara.
thanks to our
Supara came in. The
backstage.
fans were chanting Supara. Everyone was behind him, and then he didn't make a save.
Yeah.
He didn't make a save. I don't think did he make a single save?
No.
I don't think so, no.
Not a single save. So really, Corrales had that amazing first half. Veszprem were in the lead, but they were only in the lead by 1 goal at half time. And
2.
Yeah.
But it disappeared straight away.
It disappeared straight away. I think within the first minute, basically, Kielce were level.
Which I think was brilliant as well, because a tactical thing there, because they had the 1-man advantage, Kielce, and they stop all this nonsense commenting. Not everyone else, just Clemens. You're the neck over there. Do your real job. A really nice tactical ploy by Talant Dushabayev, which I think was very, very much on purpose. So at the start of the second half, they were a man up, right? They played with the starting team from the first half. They got their 2 goals quickly, drew level. Their 1-man advantage was gone, and then they completely changed the team. So after 2 minutes of the second half, the whole team was changed in the backcourt, which you don't do unless that's exactly what your plan is. And it's not like, you're not showing your hand to the opposition and saying, yeah, prepare yourselves to face these 3 new guys. It's like, yeah, we're going back to the old team, and then they're all gone a minute later, which was really, really nice. But to answer your question, which is about whether there's this curse now, Brian, I don't think they really expected themselves more than any other year to win. That's what we've talked about a lot. They came into this with less pressure than usual. They didn't manage to win it. It's incredibly disappointing for them, but I don't think this adds to they're destined to never win it. In fact, I think this could be, like Barça have experienced in the past, this could be a very good thing for them. I think at one point before Barça won last season, we were kind of thinking, will Barça ever win it again? Like for 4 or 5 years, they kept having these, the best team and never getting it done. Veszprem didn't have the best team. They have a very good team. Next year, the team is getting better. Season after that, the team is getting even better again. And so this is a step on the journey for them, I reckon.
Final moments of the game as well. It was a Dushabayev that stepped up, but not Alex, and it was Danny. Were you surprised by his performance today?
I was completely surprised, and I think I mentioned it to, was it Kevin beside me, and I said, what is Danny Dushabayev doing on the court? I can't believe he's actually out here. And then he did step up out of nowhere. The moments we've seen of Danny Dushabayev over the last couple of games as he's ramped up from injury have not been good. He's been trusted with that playmaker position, and he hasn't been able to do it. But then he scored some really nice backcourt shots, and I think that's what Kielce had ahead of Veszprem today, was their 9-meter shooting. It started off very rough with Sichko going 1 from 4 in the first couple of minutes. Corrales was in charge, actually. He was taking them all. But then Kulesh just was incredible. He scored some big goals. And then Danny Dushabayev came in with big ones as well. And
Igor Karacic.
And Igor Karacic.
Yeah. What
Igor
a game.
Karacic.
Igor Karacic scoring from the right back position over and over again. His combination with Alex Dushabayev was phenomenal today. That's really he's really stepped up.
He knows what he's doing, doesn't he, Igor Karacic? So we're going to move on to maybe the second semi-final now.
One final point.
One more hot take or one?
No.
Point?
This is something I just forgot to mention.
Okay.
Which I wrote down. So I do want to mention it. Veszprem lost it because of their ill discipline, and that's it. They had 8 2-minute suspensions, and during those suspensions, Kielce scored 13 goals. That's it. Game over. You can't recover from that. So the ill discipline was the deciding factor here. Blagotynchek, ill discipline again. So I think, it's the players were good enough. The team was good enough. But today they made some mistakes which allowed Kielce to win. So to also answer your question, yes, Veszprem might be cursed, but their team is still good enough to win.
Very nice. So if you just joined us, we do have a very big giveaway today before we talk about the second semi-final. We have tickets to next year's Final Four, 2 of them up for grabs. And you have to do 3 things to enter. You have to follow the Handball Hour on Twitter or Instagram. You then have to follow us or subscribe to us on your favorite podcasting app. And then lastly, you have to enter here on Twitch by writing tickets or giveaway or anything.
Enter.
Really, or enter.
Yeah. You've about 20 minutes left to do that.
20 minutes.
Max.
So we have 25 entries in the giveaway on Twitch, but I'm counting the followers for the Handball Hour on the Instagram, and we have 10. So 15 people have to
either already following us.
If you are already following us, that's fair play.
That's good.
Well done. We'll check your name. But
See, I told you Alex is going to take this very seriously. He's not giving away free tickets for nothing.
Good. So
So there was another game.
there was another game.
Yeah.
What a game.
And I think the first half of that was absolutely incredible. And just in terms of the atmosphere and some of the tackles and the response of the crowd, just everything was just incredible. I absolutely loved that first 30 minutes.
Yeah, it felt more aggressive, that first half especially. In terms of the hits were just harder, and it felt like the crowd was feeding off that. The boos, the shouts, the reactions were kind of built into that first half. But at the same time, there was no defence. The hits were hard, but no one was really doing any defending.
Something actually really surprised me when Niklas Ekberg intercepted that first. I don't know what that attack was, by the way. That was absolute nonsense. Intercepted that pass, scored an easy fast break goal, and I heard the crowd. I was like, "Oh yeah, we're in Germany."
Oh wait, I'm surrounded by white. Actually,
no, because I saw the Kielce I saw the Kiel fans up in the corner. I was like, oh, "That's a nice number of them." But then you heard the crowd. You're like, "Oh wait, of course, yeah, these are all here to support. They're all Germans here to support Kiel." And I kind of forgot that a little bit.
Yeah. And
then you kind of think these are all just neutrals who are going to kind of be cheering no matter what. But there was actually a huge support for Kiel today.
Yeah.
So where should we start?
Do you want to go through the game, Chris, a little bit? Give us a view on that first half, or will I just tell you exactly what happened and what was the key thing?
Go on, Alex. Go on, tell us exactly what happened.
Preach to us.
Yes.
The same thing that happened in the first leg, and that is
first game.
In the first game, and that is Barça used their bench in a very clever way.
Fully agree.
And it made the difference.
Yeah.
Kiel played the same players.
I had a moment.
They were missing a couple.
Thankfully, everything I say that I thought and said on the broadcast is actually there for everyone to check as well. But I did, and in particular, I mentioned
here between you two.
And I had Blaz Jans. I had this weird feeling. I was like, I just think of Blaz Jans in Cologne, like when he was with Kielce as well, and just like being a really, really solid player. And I was like, I have a feeling, I haven't seen him play in the backcourt much, but he's going to play in the backcourt a lot today. And I say he's not going to start, but we're going to see a lot of him. And I was really happy to see that. And really happy to see a lot of left-handers as well on both teams in the first half. But the tactical use of the players and the rotation of the bench, both sides tried it, of course. And Kiel were kind of forced to, because we knew that was the only way they could kind of make up for the players they were lacking, those who shall not be named, because they've been named 400 times this weekend. But what I want to ask you first of all was Nikola Bilic, because you talked him up big time before the game. I bought into that hype a little bit. I thought, this is his chance. He did start, but he didn't really want to shoot, did he?
He was scared.
Yeah.
He's terrified. And the thing is, at the very end, when the game was lost...
Yeah, scored two goals.
He scored 2 goals. Yeah. They're beautiful goals, took them perfectly. But I think the occasion, and you have to forgive him, because he basically hasn't played for the last 2 seasons. So to be thrown into a game like that and given that responsibility was a fairy tale that we wanted to believe in, I think. But it's a stretch.
Oh, it's a stretch. What do you think, Brian?
I think it's a very hard situation for him to step up in an arena like that. We're talking about I was getting goosebumps. I've never gotten more goosebumps at a Final Four than today. It
was a really hot day, so that says something.
Yeah, no, but I can't believe the pressure that he was under, and to step and cover for someone like Sander Sagosen. Maybe the occasion got to him a little bit. And you say he scored 2 goals. I only see one on the score sheet, but anyway, we'll let that one slip. But
he scored 2 at the end.
He did.
One from 2.
They're wrong.
Okay.
We saw with our eyes.
Paddy Vinček, though, solid as a rock.
Oh, Paddy Vinček is someone that did step up, and someone that had that just...
he was their Rasmus Lauge.
He was the Rasmus Lauge, is exactly it. He wanted to win that game. He wanted to prove that they can do it without these players or whatever. And he was on fire. He scored 6 goals in the first half as a line player.
Yeah, and 7 overall, though, right?
7 overall.
That was my big worry at halftime, because I was like, right, Kiel are in this game, but look at the players who scored. And Patrick Vinček scored 6, and I was like, he can't do this for the whole game. He's just not fit, because he was playing in defence as well.
But he can't do that.
He was playing both ways.
The pressure was on him because he had to play 60 minutes, and it was too much.
It was unsustainable, which is a real pity. And it was kind of like Barca really they were biding their time. That's what the feeling you got. Like, yes, it was really tight for 25 minutes, and Barca pulled away just a tiny bit before half-time. It was only 1 goal lead at the break, but it was, as that second half wore on, it was like, there's something different here. However, that relied on 2 other things that could have gone completely the other way. Number 1 is the goalkeeper battle, right? And Nicolas Landin, unfortunately, had a mare. He just nothing. He couldn't save anything. And Perez de Vargas had a fantastic second half. I don't know what I think his second half percentage was in the high 30s. But the other thing was that there were 2 left backs for Barca that actually played well in the second half. And you talked about that first attack, and that was the player who gave it away was Engesson. And then it was like, oh God, this is actually not going to be good for him.
It was 29-32. With how many? I think 3 minutes left or something like that. I was thinking, oh, here we go.
It felt like it.
Final
four.
Like it. And Enguisson put that to bed then completely.
Yeah,
with one of his random rockets.
Yeah. Absolutely right.
And Haniel Langaro scored an incredible random rocket. That was a serious random rocket.
Yeah. But that's it. But that's this kind of attitude of, here's Langaro, who's barely played this season, but he has played a little bit. You have 5 minutes, put everything you have into those 5 minutes. And it worked for Kielce with someone like Traustason. It worked for Barca this time with Langaro. And it meant that whoever came off, whether it was Sindrich, who had a fantastic game. Sindrich was absolutely amazing. Just he could rest for those 5 minutes and make the difference in the second half.
Yeah, just really good use of the team. Aitro Aurelio played really well, like in defence in particular, and then scored a couple on the wing. Jans playing centre back was really good.
Remember in the men's Euros where I think it wasn't the last one, it was the previous one, where we had a big argument about Swiss Army knife.
Yeah.
And I really wanted Jans. Because he is the ultimate Swiss Army knife. And you argued against me. I think it was Christian O'Sullivan who won at that time. This is why Jans is the biggest Swiss Army knife, because he can just go in.
Well, he never went as a playmaker before, but now he has. Yeah. Well, now we know that. Yeah. Really, another fun moment there. Speaking of versatility, and I have to give credit to Stefan Weinhold as well. I think he and Harold Reinkind were brilliant, the two left-handers in the backcourt. But I really liked when they were playing 7v6 in the second half, and Stefan Weinhold ended up at left back. He was like, well, I'm just going to go for it. And he played the ball into Bjarte Myrhol, who scored, I think, his only goal of the game. And it was like 40-year-old Bjarte Myrhol getting the ball from Stefan Weinhold playing at left back. That was a real DIY or patchwork job, which worked well.
Good comment from Nina here, who said that we knew we weren't going to play with Sagosen or Pekler, but we didn't know that we weren't going to play without Landin either. And I want to just dig in on that a little bit. This is hot take number 2, is that Niklas Landin is the reigning IHF World Player of the Year. He is the best player in the world. And I think goalkeepers get a bit of leeway for bad performances and big moments. Imagine if it was Sagosen who scored 1 from 9 and Kiel lost in a game like this. All of the conversation would be, Sagosen had such a bad game. What happened here? When it's a goalkeeper who had 4 saves in the whole game, didn't touch the ball, it's like, it was a poor game from Landin. It didn't show up, but he's still the best in the world. And I think there's a little bit of hypocrisy there. What do you think about that?
I think you're right. I mean, also, we collectively can be very vocal about bad goalkeeping performances as well. So, you two on Vincent Girard in particular, which I often have to end up defending. But yeah, you expect. I mean, Niklas Landin in Europe hasn't had a good season. He's under 30% saves.
In the All-Star team, though.
Yeah, the All-Star team goalkeeper, which says, that's you fans' fault for voting him in. But the talk was always, but he can, and of course he can turn a game on its head, like with a single performance. And that's why they held on to him for the whole time, because he doesn't need to have a good game. He can just have a good 10 minutes. And it wasn't him who did it.
And someone in the comments here, Miha 082, Alex is annoyingly right as always. Couldn't agree more with you there, Miha.
Well, actually, to say annoyingly right as well, I predicted that Marito would be top scorer in the championship. He went 8 from 8, but it was Alex Gomez that was the real star, though, right?
Yeah.
Never has wing scoring looked so good before. Not like he has this amazing combination of like really subtle wrist movement, but also whacking within the same shot, smacking it in off the far post, but also with brilliant movement on the ball. And he had a day today. Yeah. Really, really.
I think
about
that exact goal you're talking about. It was late in the second half. And I think Kiel had just scored, was it 1 or 2 in the row or something like that? And that goal that went in then, and you can see the whole crowd they were all up in their feet, they all sat down again.
Game's over.
Forget it.
But he almost got the record for the most goals in Final Four.
Second
game.
most. Yeah.
He's
second, yeah.
He's second now. The top is 13 goals from Juanin Garcia, who was another Barcelona winger.
Yeah.
A left wing on this stage. But I was really hoping for him to get that final goal to at least level that top scorer goal. But,
I could do it tomorrow.
Yeah, why not? Why not?
Right. When you're talking about a final.
He's great, though, isn't he? He's great to watch.
Alex Gomez?
Yeah.
He's amazing.
He's incredible.
He's amazing. He's just...
his bounce. Even when he's celebrating, he's got that bounce. He's just a great player.
Bounce and wrist. Yeah. That's what you need in a winger. Also, just a quick one on Dylan Nahi, talking about bounce and wrist. Delnahi missed his 2 wing shots today, and it's becoming a problem. He's overdoing it. He has space in the wing.
He's doing the Luke Abelo.
He's doing the Luke Abelo, but he's not as good as Luke Abelo yet. He's a long way to go, and he's still incredibly skilled.
And he did some good work in the second half. But it actually seems like, you want to give him as little time to think as possible.
Exactly.
Give him a tight wing shot, he'll find a way through. Give him half the court, like those 2 times, and he'll overthink it and take a bad shot.
He does like a fake up here, a fake down there, and then shoot with a low arm for some reason, where you can just put it into the top corner.
You know when Miguel Sanchez Migayon is coming on instead of him, you're like, well, this has really been right time to put the defensive specialist on, and then he gets a 2-minute suspension, and then Artsem Karolek is out there. He's like, he has to come in as a second line player, starting on the left wing. So,
Didn't harm them in the end, though. No. The changes they could make.
He'll probably score 10 goals tomorrow.
He has that ability, but he has to get that wing shot sorted.
True.
So how long have we left? So we have a few minutes left, so your last chance to enter the competition to win 2 tickets to next year's EHF FINAL4.
Checking the Instagram constantly, so do follow us there, as well as on Twitter, which I am also checking.
Wait a second.
So, and then you can win these beautiful, beautiful tickets.
Not the actual tickets. The actual tickets have a lot more security in them, I guess. QR code, maybe, the actual ones.
They could.
You'll find out next year if you win.
So, final.
It was your dream from the beginning of the season. You said you wanted to see Kielce Barcelona, and now you're going to see it. So you must be absolutely... First of all, delighted with the final.
Say your phrase. Go on.
No, I'm not going to say it. We're getting paid for
say
this.
The phrase. Say the phrase.
Say the phrase.
You're going to be Le Cream in your Jockos. But not for once of all getting it right, and second of all, your dream final pairing.
I have been saying that they've been the 2 most exciting teams in the competition so far. And it's... In some way, it's a little bit boring because everyone had Kielce and Barcelona as favourites. Everyone we talked to over the last 2 days mentioned that it was Kielce and Barcelona.
That's not boring, though.
No,
it's just really good. They're just the best teams.
But there's everyone. But it's Cologne.
You want the underdog. It's always an underdog story. Yeah.
But it's Cologne. Didn't happen this year.
Yeah.
That doesn't matter because we have the 2 best teams fighting it out at the top level. And even though Kielce have beaten Barcelona twice this season, that was earlier in the season. That's before Barcelona
got the wind in their sails.
Exactly.
What's your gut feeling then, Chris? If you're going to put your neck out there right now, what was your gut reaction?
I've been corrupted by Victor Tomas after what he said yesterday, and he said it to me again after the semi-finals. He was like, we're not losing to Kielce 3 times in one season. Which is, it's a fair point.
Yeah.
It's a very fair point. However, the fear I have, it's kind of the same as in Budapest with Vipers and Djur. So my gut feeling is based on a certain thing, and actually it's based on the same position. So with Vipers, they have a chance to win that final if someone performs like Jarabkova did in the semi-final. Turns out she was the one who performed like she did in the semi-final. And again, it's that left-back position for Barcelona tomorrow. Engesson or Langaro or Zane or Thiagos Petros or maybe Blasians. someone in the left-back position needs to step up.
Really interesting that Domen Makuc
didn't play.
Didn't play at all. I haven't heard that he's injured.
Ooh, maybe he's being held in reserve for the final. That's fun.
That would be
tactically, he's a perfect player to use in that final. And Veszprém showed that when they used Yahia, Lauga and Mahé in the backcourt. And the way they moved in the backcourt, that gave the big Kielce centre block a lot of problems. That worked really well in the first half. And if it wasn't for the things you talked about earlier, Mahé probably would have been kept in there. That's why I think they started them instead of Nenadic. So Makuc being used alongside Sindrich is a possibility tomorrow, and a really exciting one. maybe Jans at right back.
It is getting late.
Super fast. Wait,
We're getting to conspiracy theory hour here. Chris is going to get.
it's going to be a tactical battle.
Where's the tip ball?
Yeah, is actually the coach.
Wait, we need the tactical board. Let me show. No, I think
Ortega's only a shadow coach.
No, really. That's.
Is Yusuf Ben Ali out tomorrow? He got a direct red card.
He got the direct red card. That's going to be.
No.
I think it's reviewed. Yeah, they review it and then decide what the. That was a tough one. On reflection,
I didn't think
it was accidental, but then like the whole he took care, like he had the care of the player, which he didn't. He did a very bad thing, but he didn't mean it.
He didn't mean
Still
it.
a red card. I think that'll play in his favour, and he might be available for tomorrow. If not, Luis Frade. Luis Frade was not in the squad today, and maybe he'll get a chance.
So some comments here. Do the bit brain. Is that meant to be for me?
Yeah,
Do I-
Do
do I-
the bit. That was your bit.
Cream your jocks.
Oh,
Yeah.
sorry. Yeah.
Yeah.
Irish people do truly have some of the best phrases. I don't know what phrase you're talking about, but
Guys, you told nothing about the placement match. Correct.
what are your thoughts?
That's your favourite match.
Yeah,
Chris.
yeah, it's gonna
the
be-
third and fourth place
highlight
match
of the
is
year,
always
isn't
the
it, for you?
highlight of the year
It's
for
a
you.
great exhibition game. However, listening to poor Rasmus Lauga after, like he had to do the post-match interview, and he was asked about tomorrow, which is the worst question you can ask him, and he just like stopped it. He's like, I really don't care. He's like, of course we'll get the energy. Like, of course we'll do it, but right now I'm really, really sad. And so, for these two teams in particular, I think it, like in comparison, you know, in the women's Final Four, like Metz and Esbjerg, they had something to get up for. Veszprem and Kiel, it's tough for them. They probably expected, you know, the heart of hearts, chances are they'd be there. It doesn't make it any easier. It'll be a great game, though. I mean, in that sense, like, I don't think either team really cares whether they're third or fourth, but it means it'll be a really fun game. Nicola Billick, 14 goals.
Incoming. Just one game late.
Yeah.
One game late.
And when are we back on tomorrow?
We're on after the final match. So after the final at 8, I believe, we'll be on to give you full reactions of the day, give emotions, give tactical talk, give hot takes. Everything will be there. So the three of us will be there.
And are we the final thing?
We're the final thing.
Oh
We're
my
gonna close
goodness. We were the first
show.
thing and the final thing.
First thing, the
and
final
in the middle, we were the best thing. Because of the tickets.
The tickets are pretty good. Tickets are pretty good.
Okay?
All right.
Thank you, everybody.
Bye. Hello, everyone, and welcome to hour 54 of the live show and hour 1 of the EHF Final 4 post-final review podcast. Lads, I'm emotionally drained. And we have Nedzad Smajlagic. How close is that? Better than
Very
last
good.
time?
Better than
Smajlagic.
Yeah, better than
Smajlagic.
Blagotinšek, so that's good. Yeah.
Blagotinšek. I think that's gotten better over the years. Who's joining us because Brian can't be in. Well, not because of that. We'd like you to join anyway. But Brian is he's on the court still with players. I think he's gonna be taking some photos and videos later. So we're gonna chat in here because I think among the three of us and all of you listening live and watching live at home, there's enough to talk about over the next hour. So,
Where do we start? Do we start with the final, or will we go into the bronze medal match a little bit? Because that's your favorite game, right?
That would really be teasing everyone at home to just go straight into the bronze medal game. But it was quite a bronze medal game, huh? It wasn't as wild for the whole game. It was actually it was kind of like a first leg quarter-final match. It was really tense for the first half, and then it kind of opened up quite a bit. But what was your take on it? I mean, we're talking about the bronze medal game now.
Yeah. Let's do a bit on bronze medal. I
Kiel
think
beat Veszprem after penalties.
Yeah.
37-35.
the first thing was that I wasn't sure if it was legal for them to go straight into penalties or they should play an extra time. I think it's the right decision. Clemens told me that the rule was changed in 2015 after, again, both games went into extra time. So I'm going to believe him because he's always right. Yeah. But it was exciting. It looked like Veszprém were the better team. Everyone had predicted Veszprém to be the winners of that tie. And then they came back. They were 4 goals down at one stage. Kiel in the second half. And they just got this extra energy. And then finally the Kiel fans woke up. So who brought them that extra energy to just equalize, do you think, Nedzad?
I mean, it will sound weird, but I almost think that like Veszprém players brought them that energy. There was like a clash between, not a clash, but a bit of trash talk between Zarabec and Rasmus Lauge. And then literally 10 seconds after that, Zarabec just one against one scored a goal. There was a 2-minute penalty. I think that, and obviously Landin made some saves that helped them. And I need to say, there was one player that stepped up today that did not show up yesterday, and that's Nikola Bilic. I'm very happy. I think 7 from 9, if I wrote it correctly. He showed that if you give him the time, if you maybe release a bit the pressure, that he can show up. He showed that also in the last 2 games in the Bundesliga, where he played more after Sagosen got injured. He has that quality. Yes, he's way slower than he was before the injury. Yes, you can see that physicality is not there. But when you give them the trust, when you say, okay, if you shoot and miss 1 or 2 balls, you will still stay on. I will not replace you, as he did in the semi-final, because Bilic started, got 8 minutes, should have taken at least 2 or 3 shots, did not do it, was replaced, and that was it. So I'm really happy for him. I think that he's deserved it. And in general, it was a collective performance during pure fighting spirit that they showed, because I think that they are now dead literally after these 2 games.
Yeah, actually from my perspective, so Bilic kept Kiel in it. So it was really at a stage where the game was kind of trucking along. It seemed like both teams were comfortable with the results. And it was Bilic was the player who kept Kiel in the game. But the person who kind of drove the victory, there was 2, I think, for Kiel, and that was Vincek, who this time around, he got a little bit of a break in the middle, which meant he came back with about 15, 20 minutes left, and I don't know where he got the energy, but just drove that Kiel team forward, together with Duvniak, who was the emotional force in that second half for Kiel.
Yeah, how impressive is Patrick Vincek? Like, second leg of the quarterfinals, 6 goals. First, the semi-final yesterday, 7, and 6 again today. From a guy who really has been he's been a defender for a lot of the last couple of years with Hendrik Pekala in the team. And he's a bit part attacker, and really reeled back the years. I mean, something almost so unusual about him as well in the way he plays. But my favorite moment is where, I think it was right towards the end of the game, must have been his last goal, where he got the interception first of all, and then didn't run directly down the court, ran around the left, overtook Rune Dampke and received the ball on the left wing in the counter-attack. So he started the move with the steal, and he finished it off from the left wing. Just where do you get that from? It was amazing, and that really does signify it. Bilic was fantastic. Like that, when he really let that arm go, there was one really nice goal where he shot right over the centre block, and the huge centre block that Veszprém have. But when he has a unique ability to use his full wingspan in a shot, and it doesn't matter how tall the centre block is, he'll find a way past them if he really believes it, and he did today.
Yeah. I think the other key turnaround was Nicolas Landin. And if anyone actually follows us on Twitter, you may have seen that we, on the Uninformed Handball Hour, we do this a lot.
I mean Alex.
And by we, I mean me, where I post some sort of missing. So I've had missing Dika Mem, as in find Waldo, before. And what did DKM do? He scored 7 goals in the next game. This time around, after 40 minutes, I made a missing poster for Nicolas Landin because he deserved it. Yeah. He was doing nothing for 100 minutes in this championship, and then he woke up. Well, how?
It's Nicolas Landin.
Yeah.
I mean, we need to say that, and it's not only. I'm feeling really bad for Dario Kvested. I mean, I need to say Dario Kvested is not a bad goalkeeper. I mean, let's be honest. Dario Kvested is a decent goalkeeper for, let's say, a Bundesliga team below third place. I see him like that. And yesterday was also a bit. He got 2.5 minutes on the court. Didn't have a chance to save anything. Was replaced because Jicha knows who is Nicolas Landin. You guys spoke about that on like before the semi-finals. That's probably the only goalkeeper currently where the other players are thinking about him. His opponents are thinking about Nicolas Landin, and they know when he's there, if he gets his day. I mean, Perez de Vargas is an amazing goalkeeper, but if you just look at the physicality of the boat, it's a bit different effect when Nicolas Landin is staying there. And I think whenever he saves a couple of balls in a row, then even that powerful defense from Kiel is getting even more and more powerful, even harder. But I like that he has rotated defenses the entire time. Obviously, they have the players for that. Even without Pekeler, they played either a 6-0 or some kind of 5-1. Then they started also today with some kind of 3-2-1.
There was a 3-2-1.
Yeah,
and
there was
I think there was a 3-3 defense at once. Like the real old school 3-3 that I haven't seen too much.
Yeah, but I mean, I need to, just to finish the thought and also add up maybe on Patrick Winczek. I had a feeling also yesterday that Kiel players are searching for him. So it was obviously, you know, that Kielce is playing a lot with the line players, either Turnau or Karalek. Barça, when Fabregas was healthy, yes. But I did not expect that Kiel will base their game more or less in the semi-finals and also in bronze medal game on Winczek. Yeah. I really did not expect. I expected a lot of 7 against 6, and I expected maybe some kind of isolation for Reinke and maybe even for Zarabet. But they will play like matchups 2 against 2 with Winczek. And what I also like, that he's a modern line player in the case that he is running a lot. I don't know the statistics, but I think at least 30 or 40% of his goals in this Final Four are fast break goals, which is amazing taking into consideration how many minutes he needed to play. So hats off for that.
He also moves a lot on the line, which is rarer to see these days. You have someone like Andy Nielsen, even Karlek Turnau is another example where they set a base and try to overpower a defender. Winczek can do that and does that, but more often he is actually moving into the gaps behind the defence, which again was really effective, especially because every team in this Final Four played quite an aggressive defence, at least at some stage. And for Kiel, it was Winczek who punished teams playing that aggressive defence.
So what do you think about Veszprém and all of this?
Taking a deep breath. I don't know. I think that they had a similar game as they had yesterday. So a very good first half. The difference was for me maybe that yesterday they opened not only good, emotional, but also in some kind of emotional and relaxed, if it makes sense to say that. I saw that they are having fun playing handball. Today was a different. I saw it multiple times during the game, discussions between players of Veszprém. Yahya screaming on Maye, why are you not going there when I want to go there, and then all of these different things that you rarely see in the professional handball. You see it quite rarely, that players of one team and that level are not fighting but having some discussions during the game, and that was the part that surprised me a bit. And I would say, I think you said it, Alex, yesterday evening, the lack of discipline in both directions. So Kentan Maye played left wing the end of the second half. Yeah. He was decent, but there are at least 3 or 4 scenes when he was trying to catch the ball, kind of trying to anticipate and provoke that mistake to Rankin, and the ball got to the right winger. Totally easy goals for Kiel that normally should not happen. So they kind of wanted too much, and I didn't see a clear structure. I didn't see a player who will say, okay, now we do this, now we stop. It was a bit of a mess between Maye, Lekaj in the second game. Obviously, Nenadic who is anyway really hard to control. So,
he had a much better attitude today, though. Nedzad. He had a more difficult challenge. But
just one thing on Nedzad and his attitude while he was warming up on behind the bench. At one point, he just turns around and gives Bob Hanning a hug. He's commentating on German TV. So that was him. He was very.
That was his relaxed attitude.
He was very chill today.
Yeah, I think. For Vestrem, there wasn't enough structure. There wasn't. We saw the two teams in the final, especially how they had very specific lineups. It was like this team comes in, then this setup of players comes in to enable this set of players to come in at this stage of the game. That was non-existent for Vesprem. They had a bit of structure. They had the defensive substitutions, but it was more about, okay, who's on form? Let's replace him. And especially, I think Yahya Omar needs a little bit more structure. He had an incredible game today. 8 goals. Really, he was the player in control. But I think if his time was managed a little bit better today, so he was on fire, maybe give him a little bit of a break, those last 5-10 minutes, that's when Yahya Omar, that's when you need him to really take over and finish the game for Vesprem. But at that stage, he was kind of out on his feet. And that's down to Momir Ilic, I think.
Yeah. But I also didn't like, in my personal opinion, they focused too much on the referees, especially yesterday.
Yeah.
Not only in the second half, but also after the first 15 minutes, after every decision, you had some things. Now you had in the finals, in my opinion, there are a couple of situations where Barça had the opportunity to scream on the referees. There are a couple of scenes, especially at the end of the game, where there was a foul on Alex Dushabayev, which I never saw that is a foul. And there were a couple of players, maybe for 5 seconds, that tried to find a contact with the referees and just stopped, focused on the defense, continued playing. And I think that was the part that Vesprem was missing. And again, Yahya Omar had a very good game today. But if you see the hierarchy of the players in that team, I'm not sure. If you let's put it into context, that from Kielce, maybe not Branko Vujovic is not Yahya Omar, but Branko Vujovic is, or let's say not the A player from Kielce. I can never see Branko Vujovic screaming on any other player from Kielce in the game. That would never happen, and Yahya Omar did that. If Lauge does it, okay. Maybe if Lekkai does it, okay, but not Yahya Omar. And that's for me a sign that something was rotten there.
Yeah, I think I'd like to give Yahya Omar a little bit of slack here because he's still young. I think it's a part of his journey to become a mature handball player. He has all the skill. Now he has to learn how to take control of those really important moments in games. And I think he has that ability, and he has many more EHF Final Fours to come. Then it came to the penalty shootout. Do you remember it, Chris?
Before we go to the penalty shootout, I just want to ask you one thing about, because I think one of the defining things in the comeback was, and I can't wait to see like the analysis of the time here in terms of attack spent, because honestly it felt like for about 3/4 of the match it was Kiel in attack, and at least 2/3 of the game was Kiel in attack. And if you look at fouls committed, one of those stats came up at one point, and it was 3 times as much Vesprem in comparison to Kiel, and because Kiel were literally camped in, it was almost like a rugby match in terms of a team being like in the opposition half for so long, because Vesprem were happy to allow that, and then because for most of the game they were scoring easy goals at the other end. They were just finding the right solutions over and over again, and they were riding this wave. But do you think that might have had an impact, because it is a lot harder to defend for the majority of the game, and then when it comes to the late minutes, then to actually be able to have that energy to hold on to control the game, because they went from scoring easy goals all day long to all of a sudden having to manage the game, which they didn't manage.
It's a good point, but it's also really difficult to attack a set defense in terms of the amount of effort it takes, especially for the backcourt players. So traditionally, the team that spends the least amount of time in the set attack wins. And that's what we saw in the game. That's what kind of happened for the first 40, 50 minutes. I think there was just a shift and maybe a little bit of lack of concentration from Veszprem.
I haven't seen, I can't remember a game where there's been such a game that's been close on the scoreboard that has been so disproportionate in terms of time spent in the opposition attack or defense. So
although there was another moment that I think was really crucial, and I think there was some discussion about it in terms of that Andy Nielsen inside call, where he took the shot, the goal counted. I was looking at it from a very good angle, and he was inside. I think it was the right decision to overturn it, but the fact that they used VAR to overturn that decision is not in the rule book. It's the right decision, but they shouldn't have been able to do it.
And it was such a close call, though, also from the angle that we were shown on TV. I don't know how many angles were actually there, but one of the angles I saw was the goalkeeper was in the way of where the line was. So I was like, this is hard to call. How are the referees supposed to give the call? And I think in these cases, the referee should give the benefit of the doubt to the attacker, which happened a lot in the final. Look at Ludovic Fabregas, one of the goals he scored, he literally had his whole forearm on the ground as he shot.
And half of his body, probably.
And so, that, I think in that case, maybe they were, the complaining got to them.
Yeah, I think so. But penalty shootouts, they're weird, right? But right before it, I was looking at the two goalkeepers, and my thought was Corrales is a better goalkeeper this weekend. Not in general. That's a ridiculous statement, of course. But Nicolas Landin is a better 7-meter goalkeeper. And I think that's what mattered in that game.
Yeah, if you want to choose between the two of them that you're going to face for a penalty, I know which one I'd choose.
And there was a really interesting moment in that penalty shootout when Lauge stepped up to take his penalty against Nicolas. And, two players who've played with each other for many, many years. And they had a little smile together. It was a beautiful moment, but that was Nicolas Landin's just putting Lauge in his pocket there. And he knew exactly where he was going to go, made the save. And in the end, Kiel with a surprise bronze medal. They should be happy, though.
Yeah, they deserve it. I mean, at the end, they deserve it. With a pure fighting spirit. Tactics was there, but obviously without Sagosen and Pekela, as we mentioned for a gazillion times this weekend. Other players stepped up. They had some versatility in their game. For me, the penalty shooter is always funny. Whenever it starts, I'm thinking about who are the players from the team that are shooting normally penalty shots. From Veszprem side, they have at least 5 good ones, where you say, Marguč is the first choice. Then you have Mae, obviously, who can and shoot. Yahi Omar was for me a surprising decision. I was calculating with Sterlek, who did not play. I don't know, he was injured.
I think he must have been injured, and that's
but
why
still you can shoot. You can shoot penalty shot even being injured, because he's the player who normally, and he has experience with penalty shooters in Cologne, which does probably make a difference. But penalty shooter is penalty shooter, which we will come probably at the finals where Andy Wolf almost had 2, and then
Will we move on to the final then?
Yeah, I just want to say it was a good game, though.
Yeah, it was a great game.
I was surprised at the way it meant just so much to those teams, and we need to remind ourselves of that also when we think about these bronze medal games. That
exhibition games, as he called them.
Exhibition games, that really does matter.
Maybe they listen.
It matters as much, whether it's a group phase game, which a lot of handball people say, it's too many, they don't matter. When these teams face each other, there's a lot on the line, and we've all played games that mean diddly squat, but they all matter. At the time, at the moment, they matter, and that one really mattered today.
I think the fans also helped. I think the fans helped, because you had Kiel and Veszprem. Veszprem had, I think, from the amount, the most fans.
Yeah, they were the loudest.
Kielce dominated. Definitely, Kielce fans dominated this Final Four, but I saw more red jerseys or red T-shirts, and obviously THW Kiel is more or less the home team. So I think that the fans' presence helped a lot to make the game better.
One thing I have to say about the fans, and I think that maybe let's answer this question. Well, maybe do you remember Zarabet's penalty?
Yeah.
I think he just tried to put it under the leg.
I mean, I think he tried something that it's my favorite penalty to do.
Is it?
But on the other side, it's when the keeper is out, which is you come across, or in his case, he's coming across, and it's the flick of the wrist to just so it lands right at the side of the keeper's foot and spins past. So it's when it works, it's something you do in training. It's not something you do.
You know what? It reminded
me. Really confident.
Yeah.
It's the cut across spin.
Yeah. It reminded me on the fast breaks that Kirill Azarov sometimes does.
Yes.
You know, the one when he comes really close to the 6 meter line, just releases the ball and then jumps, fakes it.
Yeah.
So I think he was.
Hampus Van is very good at that, like drop of the wrist, and so I think he was trying to literally just spin it on the inside of just on the outside of the standing foot. However, didn't work.
It looked really bad. I mean, Nina said on the screens looked bad. I can also say that in the arena did not look even better. So yeah.
Nina, there's now it's at the end of the 54 hours and there's no EHF TV for a while. I'm going to tell you something now. A VPN. That's all I'm going to say. VPN.
3 words.
Just remember that.
Miracle.
For next season.
3 words. Chris O'Reilly's voice. VPN. Always. VPN.
That's your key.
The final. Oh, one more point about the fans. I was a little bit disappointed with the Kiel fans this weekend. I think I mentioned it a couple of times because they seemed to get louder as the team got better, but that was already too late. It worked today, but it didn't work in the semi-final. Today, as Kiel came back into it, the fans woke up and the arena got loud, it got raucous, but for the 30 minutes before that, it was dead silent. There was a little bit of cheering. Yeah, it wasn't inspiring. So it really took the players to build the crowd. On the other hand, Kielce and veteran fans get louder when their team is behind. And I think you have to really appreciate that level of support for those teams. But Kielce fans were just loud throughout the whole final.
I think it's a different... sorry, Chris.
They're good at getting angry. That's all. Kiel fans are good at getting angry. Anyway.
It's a different fan base. I mean, and we can finish it on that. I don't want to say anything bad, but it's like 70%. 70% of fans in German Bundesliga, maybe besides Magdeburg, are that the arenas are already sold out with these yearly tickets with people who are over 50, 60, so they cannot follow the tempo. They drink probably the same amount of beer as Polish and Hungarian fans. It maybe has just a bit different effect on them. So.
Just makes them angrier. But the final started a little bit slow, didn't it, Chris?
Oh God, let me think.
It was 14,
It was Barça Kielce.
Yeah, but what did I tell you? I said 27-26 would be the final score, and it was 28-28. So I think in that sense it was kind of on par from what was expected. But the reason, I mean, I don't know why, but it was really. Like Talon Tushabayev put out his B backcourt,
so
which
strange.
And Nicolas Tournat on the line. So that diamond in the center was the B team, a good B team. Branko Vujovic
came out of nowhere. Went 4 from 4.
I mean, this whole game was a case of building on what we all spoke about yesterday. The fact that those two teams won the semi-finals because of the way they used their squad. Today was a great example, and both coaches really using their squads and using it for very specific reasons. You spoke about using lineups for different things, and something I noticed about watching the group phase games between these two teams was that backcourt shooting was pretty prevalent, and that worked for Kielce at that time because they won both games. So Branko Vujovic is a really good backcourt shooter when he's on form. Igor Karacic is a very good backcourt shooter when he's on form. And Sichko, well, he's not the B team, but this weekend he was the B choice after what happened on Saturday. A really good backcourt shooter as well. So I think they were looking for, that's why it was slow, because there was no
they need.
Well, they
need
didn't
more
have
than one player to move the
Dushabayev
ball.
there,
They need more than one player to run and move
Yeah.
the ball. So it was more about we're going to try and go over them instead of around them, and I think that maybe contributed a little bit.
And then on the other side, the key player that was missing at the start of the game and actually ended up being missing for a lot of the game was Sindrich.
Yeah, I mean, we spoke about it before we went live. I don't know if he was injured. He did not look injured. I mean, at least he walked normally. So I don't know about that. He started the game. He was not dominating the game, but he made some good decisions. And you can obviously clearly see that he's leading the team and that he's deciding on the matchups and on everything. He did a decent job, in my opinion, in 10 or 15 minutes. As the entire Barca squad, they controlled the game, and then they started making.
Campo's here.
Guys, I will finish the sentence. I think I need to go.
No,
And then I mean,
unlock the door for Brian.
I think it's
Oh,
unlocked. It's unlocked.
Campo!
Made it! Where are beers?
Ali Nine gave me 2 beers.
Oh,
And a free pizza. All right.
And did you bring any for us?
Say that to the mic, maybe.
we are not jealous. We are not jealous at all.
Yeah,
All
it is.
Yeah, it should be. Let me make some space.
What was that you were saying, Brian?
So I tried to go live
With
from the
who?
hall. And I
On
was there,
vMix?
and I was sitting there waiting for ages
For what?
to be let into the show.
Oh, you're on vMix.
Really?
I was on vMix from the hall.
Actually, that's a good question.
okay.
Where's Clemens?
And then Clemens said to me, sorry, I didn't see you there.
But we. Oh, okay.
Oh, sorry, Brian.
And there was champagne being thrown around and everything. So then I gave up and I went to the dressing room. And then Ali Zhang came out to me and goes, you look hungry. And I go, I am hungry. And he handed me a big pizza. I'm going to get the video of it because there's video of this. Nice. And then he goes in and he goes, and you also want beer? He comes out with 2 beers. And he goes, I don't drink. And handed me 2 beers. Yeah, what a nice guy.
That is lovely.
And well, we're going to go on to his cojones later on.
Yeah,
You joined us, Brian, actually, we just started talking about the final. So good timing. We managed to fill half an hour on the bronze medal game.
Yeah. I did look down
Is
and I
there
was like,
anyone
okay.
still watching?
Classic us just talking. I will do 5 minutes on the
For
bronze
5 minutes
medal
on the
game,
bronze
half an
medal,
hour
half an
later.
hour there.
Yeah.
But going to, sticking with the first half, I think the key thing, was Jesus, I've lost my train of thought. Brian, you've ruined it. You've ruined everything.
Yeah.
You sound like me, Alex.
I can finish my sequence. I can help you.
Finish your sentence.
I wrote 3 things that for me kind of switch it in a good way for Kielce, and it's literally only Barca's fault. So they were, I think, 3 or 4 in front. Then Markucian's attacking foul and Sindrich. The decision that I did not understand, they were in 1 man up. And Ortega just pulled him up from end of the bench and told him to come in. Then he made a mistake, a really stupid mistake. He didn't play the ball on the right wing. So 3 mistakes in maybe 5 minutes, which Kielce punished. Came back into the game. Barca was one in front and a half, but in my opinion, they were way better. They had a really bad 5-7 minutes, couple of sequences, and then allowed Kielce to come back.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and it was, I think that was a bit of a change in formation comeback as well, because Kielce brought in their A team. First, in the second half, there was an interesting dynamic because I think Talent wanted to bring in Alex Dushabayev and Daniel Dushabayev into the starting lineup after the first 15 minutes. But Branko Vujovic was having such a good game that he decided to put Alex Dushabayev as a playmaker.
Yeah.
I don't think that was something that was planned. I think that was just a response to Vujovic's game. But then in the second half, Daniel Dushabayev came in and I thought he had a fantastic game. Watching the game, but then I looked at the stats and
that's okay.
He missed a lot of shots.
He was expensive, but I think the periods when he played and some of the goals he scored were very timely. He was the guy who was taking on shots when Barca's defense looked really like on top of the game. And so sometimes you need somebody who's just going to be like, you know what, the guys don't really fancy it. I'm going to be the one to just take the terrible shots.
I'm going to be Vuko Borazan.
I'm going to be reinforce that. I'm going to tell.
I didn't know. You added spice to that. I didn't add spice to that. I just said that some guy used to want to take a shot. That's all I said.
I'm going to take.
Where did you find him? Oh, he's back.
Danny was like, I'm going to take the shots here, and so he was a little bit expensive, but it wasn't like bad misses. There were times where everyone was missing, and he just kind of. You need someone to say, look, it's okay to shoot, lads.
Yeah.
And Danny was that like sacrificial lamb. He, for me, if we don't bring him up again, he's my hero of this weekend. Danny Dushabayev.
He did come out of nowhere, didn't he? I wasn't even expecting to see him play too much.
Defense maybe, and that's maybe one of the reasons why, because he's one of those rare players who can play in the center in attack and play in defense as well. So maybe they wanted to reduce the in-out transition between attack and defense. But anyway, I think bad stats, good vibes.
Yeah. One thing that I want to highlight for Barcelona is an advantage they had over Kielce was their fast restarts. It was Alex Gomez. Can we just appreciate Alex Gomez and what he's done in this Final Four? It was absolutely incredible.
And next season, there's the new rule where you can throw off anywhere within the center circle, not just in the middle. And that's going to make him even more dangerous.
It will also not help you, Chris, because I think the game will be even more faster. To start to catch all of the action. And
you got to live it. Brian, you were in amongst the fans, I think, for the most part in the game. You were in the timeouts. You were catching the emotions and the atmosphere very much, but I'm sure you also down on courtside, the speed of the game as it built up. You said it was a slow start to the game, but it really started to build up towards the late first half. You must have caught that as well.
Yeah, I think for bench reaction videos, I think it was an absolute goldmine, especially towards the end of the game, because it really looked like Barcelona had it just right at the end, and they were almost on the edge of kind of celebrating, we have this, arms around each other, hopping around the place, but. Yeah, it was just. I mean, I have a headache after those 2 games. It was almost a bit too much for me.
Just for moving your head.
I was just a bit too much.
Some water.
No, I'm good. I know, but the scenes afterwards as well was absolutely incredible. I mean, they didn't really let us into the dressing room this year. Last year we were all in there for ages and taking loads of photographs. This year they got naked pretty quickly, so we had to get out of there. So there's only one photo I took in there, so that was it. That was it. But yeah, just incredible what you don't see then on TV when they're behind there just smashing beers, and they're all doing the Ronaldo backstage over and over again.
As a Barcelona team.
Wrong team. Wrong team. What's happening?
Maybe I should have said that.
This is in front of Jean Laporta. True. That's scandalous.
Yeah.
That's part of the reason why I don't support Barcelona on the handball side, I think.
So 30% off of the salaries from Barca players.
You're a neutral.
Because I am a neutral. Barcelona had the advantage on the fast goals. Alex Gomez got 3, and then Thiago Petrus got a fantastic one in the second half, where they got a bit of a turnover, and then Alex Gomez did the fast break, played Petrus, he scored. So that was 4 goals that Kielce didn't have on their side. What Kielce did have was their 9-meter shooting, and my namesake, Vladislav Kulesh. He came out of nowhere. He came out of nowhere yesterday. He's had a pretty poor season, to be honest. But when he was needed, he scored for them. And I think, let me just get his shooting percentage. But did he even miss?
I don't think so. But not. I would not even focus on the scoring.
Okay, 4 from 6, but that's for, and they were all 9-meter shots, and he had 1 assist.
What an assist!
What an assist!
I mean, have you ever seen at this level? I mean, I've seen it. I've seen you and I and many other people do this level of miscommunication in terms of defenders stepping out. But the panic on their faces as the 2 boys, Fabregas and Thiago Petrus, stepped out to try and yes, we're gonna make the big final block.
I found it hard to believe. It was like, this is really bad. Like, terrible like, there was no way.
But do you think, so what we were wondering watching it was that a planned move where Alex Dushabayev, so it was like a triple bluff or a double bluff. So Alex Dushabayev is going to be the guy who takes the shot, but the defense moves over to him. Kulesh, then that's the first bluff that Dushabayev plays it to Kulesh for the 9 meter shot, and then it's either 9 meters or the pass. So do you think that is something that Talant Dushabayev drew up and told him to do, or was it just pure vibes?
No.
Well,
do you really think that? No, let's forget what Talant said. Do you really think that if Alex Dushabayev is on the court in the last 15 seconds, that he would allow that somebody else? I think it was just pure luck in this case for Kielce that the ball landed there where it landed. It's a fact, and I give you right for that Ali Zayn was way off the middle. So it was a clear 2 against 2 with a lot of space left and right. That was a fact, but I think it was pure luck for Kielce that it happened like that. I cannot imagine that Alex Dushabayev will say, okay, I will fake something, and then Vlad and Karalek should solve this.
Yeah, that's going into conspiracy theory. That's like handball conspiracy theory.
But I don't know. I think there was such a level of preparation from Talant Dushabayev and Kielce today that I wouldn't be surprised if they had a go-to move for the final seconds and variations on it. Of course, if you get the opportunity, it was Dushabayev to shoot. If you get the opportunity, it's Kulesh to shoot. But also Karalek being there as an option. So I wouldn't be surprised that this was drilled by this team to take advantage of in a situation like that. So I'm giving Talant and the team a lot of credit here.
To kind of back that up to an extent, in the final minutes of normal time and in extra time, Kielce didn't play with the backcourt really at all. It was all about, either playing to the line or like small moves or 1 against 1. Like, we're gonna find the space where we're gonna earn a penalty, or we're going to find the space where we can play it into the line. It's not we're going to score amazing goals. It's just like we're going to go for the high percentage opportunities. They really went like, if we have to win this dirty, we're going to win this dirty, and they did that in attack. And so I wouldn't be surprised if they were focused on playing the ball into the line in the end. But I don't think that in their wildest dreams they could have imagined it to open up so wide and to be given such a gloriously free opportunity. Which was put away very nicely as well. I think the finish there, there's a lot of pressure on the line player.
There's a lot of pressure. It's not always an easy shot.
What I liked is he didn't lean anywhere. He didn't fall. He stood like it was. He's just stood. He's like, I'm taller than you, Gonzalo, and I'm going to put this ball over you. Yeah, he did that well.
And another maybe matchup that was really important was DKM versus Tomasz Gabala. Tell us about that.
We have it ready.
They're hanging around together.
In Bosnia, we say DKM sent him to buy cevapi, so there's a phrase. There is some kind of phrase. For sure,
buy some milk.
Send him to have a hot dog, and always on the strong side, which is weird. That I cannot imagine that nobody told Gabala stop him on the strong side and leave the weak. Mem tried on the weak one a couple of times, but that was I think that was just a fake. Let me test him 1 or 2 times, and then we will go back, and I will have him on. For me, it was Barça played without line players in attack today. Yeah. Fabregas scored 1 where he was with 3/4 of his body in the 6 meter lines, as we saw. They were not even trying. The only assignment that the both line players of Barça had today just to get out of the way. Yeah. And it was either Dikemem, Makuc, Blažians, or some kind of double crosses, let's just open the space. In the overtime, there was one thing that they did really good, crossing empty switch. Dikemem comes over the middle, plays to Ngasan, and then again the line player goes totally wide. That kind of confused Kielce, but Barça played, I think, 70 minutes, 1-on-1, Magdeburg style, more or less, and Dikemem destroyed Gabala. But not only that, I was really surprised to see that they did not isolate it, for example, Daniel Dushabayev. They left him, and they were like, okay, either Karalek or Gebala, and let's go in the middle. Because I would not choose Artem Karalek. Okay, Gebala maybe on a broad space, but if you line me these three defensive players, I will always say I go to Dani Dushabayev, especially after you see how many minutes he spent on the court, because he's not the fittest one, especially after the injury.
And they were so smart with how because particularly in the first half, yesterday in the semi-final, they targeted Pavel Horak very well. They really gave him a terrible time, and again targeting players very well. But it was a slow burner today against Genbala. It was not straight away, but as it came into the key points, then DKM, and then I liked this one at one point.
His shooting stats were until basically the 26th minute. Yeah. Oh, sorry, 56th minute. DKM had scored 3
from 6?
No, 2 from 7.
Okay, Jesus.
In the last 3 minutes in extra time, he went 3 from 3. Yeah. And each time he just broke.
He got a penalty as well.
He got a penalty in that as well.
Yeah, but
and one time Richardson came through. They mixed it up. It's like, okay, this time, Melvin, you're going to do the exact same thing, and that worked as well.
But also, where did Melvin Richardson come from? What the hell
from the fridge? From the fridge.
He knows.
Melvin Richardson.
He was cooling down.
He was just cooling in the fridge for that whole Saturday, where he didn't play.
When he gets a good jump shot off, it's one of the most beautiful jump shots around, because it just goes from 0 to here, and then the shooting technique is really nice. And I thought we wouldn't see it this weekend.
But let's not, I must say it, so let's not give all of the credits to DKM, because without DKM's stupidity, there I said it, in the last attack, overtime would not happen.
Yeah.
Why do you take that shot? 35 seconds, man up, 20 seconds you have, not even passive play, you take a shot over at least one player, a bad one like half a meter next to the goal.
Man up.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. They had like 20 seconds.
That was the Cabal 2 minutes that DKM called.
And he just saw, like, lads, you're in the middle. He saw winning goal.
There it is.
DKM champion,
defending champion,
new
MVP, new contract. He deserves everything. Juan Laporta lifts him on his shoulder, carries him into the dressing room, but that didn't quite happen.
No.
But they still won.
Yes.
But they still won. And there were so many times in that second half and in extra time where things changed so quickly. That's what I really liked about the games, where there was like 60-second and 90-second periods of the game where everything just like flipped on its head, and that made for a really great final. It wasn't a case of like one team really looking like they were the team that had to be overturned. That they swapped those roles over and over again, and that was nice.
Yeah.
But Kielce really had their chances. I think towards like midway through the second half, they could have really taken control. Not like by leading by 4 or 5, but leading by 2.
Yeah.
If they'd taken a 2-goal lead, then they could have been able to be maybe a bit smarter about it. But they just,
There was a crucial moment. There was a crucial moment at. I'll tell you the exact time because I wrote it down. Sorry. That was the time when Mem destroyed Gabalo that I wrote down. But just before that, Karalek had a really stupid turnover in the middle.
Yeah. Where Ali Zayn scored after the mistake.
After the mistake, it was basically Barça had increased the speed a little bit, and Kielce tried to counter that with speed. A ball went into the centre for Karalek to catch, and he just panicked. He jumped, passed it, turnover, Ali Zayn goal, Barca in the lead, Kielce chasing.
Yeah.
And that just completely flipped those last couple of minutes. We still got to extra time. For me, extra time was a bit strange because it just felt inevitable that it's going to go to penalties.
Yeah, even though it's so quick, and it's almost like, in football, how they just, both teams almost agree. It's like, okay, let's just go to penalties here. It wasn't quite like that, but both teams had chances again to control the extra time. It was 2-1 in the first period.
Yep.
Yeah.
Barca.
And then Kiel took the lead. Kielce took the lead in the second period,
2 goals in quick succession, and then you're like, okay, now you just need to manage it. Like you've come back again, you have the lead again, and they just couldn't. I mean, and you have to give a lot of credit to both defenses and also both keepers in extra time as well.
Actually, both keepers overall in that game, both had just very solid performances. You know, we're not talking outstanding, but both had something like 13, 14 saves, above 30%. You know, that's what you need in a final. So when
the defenses are playing the way they are,
exactly.
you're not going to be expected to get 40% because there are fewer shots like that coming through.
Yeah.
Poor Andy Wolf though in the penalty shootout. He touched the ball twice.
Touched the ball twice.
That DKM one especially. That was criminal. Like that was like that snuck in. Like
no, that was just a funny moment. I was sitting beside Kevin, and Kevin he's a good friend with Andy Wolf. So he was really cheering for Andy Wolf in that penalty shootout. And all weekend, Kevin has been shouting, it's a disgrace that players, if anything happens, they're just calling for VAR. They're calling for VAR. Like, they're just always calling for it. Then that Andy Wolf almost save happened. And he was like, did it cross the line? They should go to VAR. They should go to VAR.
No, it's funny because I thought it initially, but then as he's walking back up, I think what he was meaning is that it crossed the line. It went past the. That's what I took. I thought initially it was VAR, but then he just walked up and he didn't protest at all.
No. It was actually a clear goal. So from the angle I was sitting, you could just see it was a clear goal. It didn't need to go to VAR.
But was he actually saying VAR, or was he saying no, it crossed the...
No, he showed like this. He did like this for sure. He did like... I don't know,
But he didn't
I was talking about
he did
Kevin,
it twice
who
and
was
didn't
right
protest.
beside
He
you.
just put his head down and kept walking. Because everyone else was just like...
So that was really unfortunate. But
sickening, doesn't it?
Alex Dushabayev, Mr. Clutch.
I mean,
there was
would even be here without him? Probably not.
No,
never.
So like,
never.
It's so horribly poetic that he misses it.
There was something like, I don't. You know, you always say, "Oh, I knew it was going to be safe." I didn't know, but there was this weird feeling. It's like this isn't going in.
Yeah.
And I was
and
like,
I was already thinking,
I was like, no. They've swapped bodies.
I was like, no, Alex, I can't be Alex who's going to miss. But there's something about it, and
but how bad was the penalty?
Yeah.
How bad did he? How bad did he?
But I told you that Lauge and Nicolas Landin exchanged a glance, and then the goalkeeper has the advantage. In this case, Perez de Vargas and Alex Dushabayev didn't even look at each other, or more. Alex Dushabayev didn't have, and I'm not going to say he didn't have the bravery, but in that moment, he chose to look down and focus, didn't even look at Perez de Vargas. And I think that is Perez de Vargas' advantage. And again, the same situation happens. They've done it so many times in training for Spain. I'd say they've had that same shootout.
Penalties are one thing where you don't want to know the goalkeeper. You don't want the goalkeeper to know you.
Exactly.
Because then, I mean, there's only so many penalties you take, and we all have taken penalties. We all know, like in training and in games, we all know what we like to do. And there's like 2 or 3 variations of that. And so maybe that's something for everyone to bear in mind in the future. No national teammates club teammates in international taking the penalties, no matter how good you are.
Or just let Richardson.
Oh yeah.
But not only that. After that first 2. Because I was there with Rado, the colleague behind the camera, and I was like, okay, the first one he touched a bit, the second one he almost saved. Well, now Richardson is coming. So, what will happen? And then Richardson
pins. Like there's never been a shot that's been more in the corner than that.
Yeah,
that was amazing.
And
he like curved it in.
It was so good. And again, it came down to a line player.
What's with these line players taking
the biggest cojones are always at the line players. That's the rule.
There's more cojones first. Ali Zayn taking a penalty. I would really love to know whether he was asked or he put up his hand, because this is a guy who barely throws the ball these days. He's clearly a very good backcourt player. He shows up for Egypt all the time, but didn't get a chance. He did score a goal on the break. But did he put up his hand, I wonder? Or did someone say, you?
Yeah, that's a good... So, from my conversation, because I had a watch-along of the 2016 final with Julian Aguinalde, and he shared something really interesting. he said that the players that were taking the penalties and their position was decided by talent and the coaching staff 2 weeks before the final. They had already picked that. Didn't tell the players at all. Right before the penalty shootout, talent came up to him and said, "You're taking the 5th penalty." That's it. So
that's what it sounded like to me. I was right beside him when he was. I mean, my Spanish isn't that good, but it sounded like he was saying, "This. That's the way it's going to be."
Yeah.
There was no real people putting their hands on.
Okay.
Yeah.
There you go.
So he was just
decided
nice.
a long time ago. You don't tell them because then they start getting nervous straight away because they know.
And in the comments there, Nina's saying that Ali Zayn missed the penalty against Landin in Egypt in that ridiculous quarter-final at the World Championship. And but he put that one away. Fair play to him. And then, it was all about...
Give me some pizza.
And his most clutch performance and moment during the weekend.
Then he goes back in and comes out with 2 beers.
So MVP, Ali Zayn? MVP, can we agree on that? Ali Zayn?
Sorry?
MVP? For sure,
MVP of the locker room, anyway.
And still a better performance than Artem Karalik.
Here we go. All right. Moving on to the... go on. We have a few minutes left, so the MVP, let loose.
Let loose, just do it.
I mean, it was the first time ever that I've worked at one of these events and nobody wrote to me the MVP before. So I wonder, I don't know, it was a surprise for me. I said in the commentary, I was like, I don't know who it is, but I have a few people in mind. He was not one of those in mind. Go on.
How? Why?
Who would you give it to then? So
Alex Gomez.
But he's top scorer though, and you never have that. You never have MVP and top scorer.
Give it to
they don't. That's never.
Yeah, but you just do it.
Let's be real though. You can't give it to him. Who's his next choice? For this weekend.
Perez de Vargas did have 2 very good games, but not. He could have been the first.
Would you give it to Danny Dushabayev just for a bit of a curveball?
I thought Danny Dushabayev is my. Did you weren't there?
No,
I said he's my hero of the weekend.
Hero of the weekend. Yeah.
Not quite MVP though of the weekend.
Well, we never give a
hero without a cape.
Yeah, hero. That's the alternative award.
Yeah.
Who's your hero of the weekend? Well, let's do that. We'll be living it positive now. Who's your hero of the weekend, Alex?
My hero of the weekend is, I think just Branko Vujovic. Just because he wasn't supposed to do anything this weekend. He's leaving the club straight after this game, basically. He has no contract. And he comes in and scores 4 goals in the final. So, heroic stuff.
You, Nacho?
Handball-wise, or handball. I mean,
handball-wise.
Yeah, I need to say that the heroes of for me of this weekend are my colleagues for producing. I mean, for 54, 55 hours. That's for sure.
Oh yeah.
We've got 3 minutes left on our 54.
Yeah, I mean, it's boring, but I need to say Alex Gomez. I mean, what a performance! What saved, like a safety net. It's amazing. So Alex Gomez for sure.
He's averaging 9.7 goals in Champions League finals in the 3 finals he's played in.
Yeah, and let's not forget. I mean, he made Ortega find a new position for Blaž Jans.
Yeah.
I mean, Blaž Jans can play. Blaž Jans can play everything.
Yeah.
For me, he's like the right winger. From right winger's perspective, the guy that can play everything. He can play at the second position, the defense,
almost like a Swiss Army knife.
Everything. But if somebody asked you 3 years ago, you have Blaž Jans and Alex Gomez, who will start, who will play more, like hands on, and you saw also with Berto Servas, also today in the talk, they were like, yeah, you know, Cindric, you're missing Cindric, and in Kielce, and he said, yeah, we're missing Cindric, but you know, Blaž Jans, we are also missing Blaž Jans. The guy does not stop speaking about him, so he knows how good of a player Blaž Jans is, and Alex Gomez made him, a backup center back, backup right back, and right winger maybe, you know.
So Blaž is one of the best players in 2019 in the Final Four here for Kielce. Just one more.
So anyway, Brian, what's your MVP? Oh, good question.
Hold on. I was just going to, on the wings before you go there. You give yours first, go on.
So handball-wise, I'm going to give it to Danny Dushabayev.
Yeah.
Just because he surprised me so much. Just for the pure, no one expected anything from him. He could have come here and scored 1 goal and been like 0-4 today, and we're like, oh, it's Danny Dushibayev, like, you know. But he was great, you know. A central figure. From one central figure to a non-handball central figure, there's a woman behind the scenes, Clara, who, due to unforeseen circumstances, couldn't be here for as much as she wanted to be here. Put a lot of work in the build-up to this. So thank you, Clara. I think we'll all give her a round of applause.
Clara Kreutz.
And I think we have to say
Brian has more to say.
Oh, you've got more to say?
I have a video I want to show you.
Oh, yes.
But maybe I think should we
still have time?
actually finish with that video?
We could, yeah. We could
Or do
talk
you want to
over
do a
it.
commentary?
Oh, we can talk over it. It's. I mean, when I showed you the video the other day, and I said this is a quick edit. These were the last 5 videos on my camera roll. So this is like very, very rough. But like just some from scenes
I don't
directly
think it's
from.
ready, so we have to keep talking for a while.
Yeah.
So I will go back to the position that I did in the last 44 hours and just try to solve the technical problems, if that is okay.
Okay.
Guys, thank you very much.
Thank you, Nacho.
It was a huge honor. I cannot remember when was the last time that I was so nervous before. I must say, thank you for that. It's a really a huge honor.
And let's just give a shout out to some of the people who've been with us for a long time.
Oh yeah.
Pedro H. Faraj has been here all the time. Puff Fansiv won the tickets to next year's Champions League. Mihai has been around. Nina was an absolute champion throughout.
The creepy creepy dreams.
Fingers 89. Have to give a shout. Donald Doherty. Have to give a shout. Zebra with no plan has been an absolute hero. Whoever has been here throughout the time, just send in a message if we've forgotten you. But I think that's made this a real special experience. The official number one.
Is that in blue saying hey and me?
That's the official one.
The official one, yeah.
Emma Engeski has definitely been in here.
Formula One, Anya,
Yeah. All of these people have been in here, keeping us company. It's
Kick her out, actually. No Formula 1 allowed around here.
So thank you for that.
No, we said it.
Come on, don't be milking it.
You're great. Zebra with no plan.
Yes.
Absolutely amazing.
Nina, don't push it. So we already mentioned you. So
and all those hardcore fans of the Twitch show, you can still follow our podcast.
Good idea.
Do follow the podcast
at Handball Hour, of course. And we don't do 50 or 4 hour streams, but we do a podcast once every 2 weeks.
If you need a producer for that, I know a guy.
see our budget first. I think we'll have you on a guest pretty soon again.
Oh God,
you've been wonderful.
Thank you so much. I go behind the scenes to figure it out.
Okay, I'll
the Brian video.
So we just
I'll give you some more vibes because I don't think you got to hear some of the vibes that I talked about while commentating.
How about just maybe close the podcast with like a sentence for the soundbite, and then we go into pure vibes.
Okay, a sentence what?
Just a closing sentence for
about the weekend.
About the weekend.
About the weekend.
Double champions, Barcelona.
Right, you go first.
It was hot and sweaty, full of surprises, like Dan Dushibayev and co. But in the end, I think Barcelona's win this weekend is probably more impressive than last season, given of where they started this season and where they are now, and with a new coach and how they found their form probably about 2 months ago maybe, and then have really they've looked like the Barcelona of old. Well, a different, obviously, a different style, but I mean quite dominant in certain ways, and DKM are really crushing it as well.
He did.
Alex?
You have to congratulate Barcelona. First time a team has retained the Champions League in the Final Four era in Cologne. It does take something absolutely special. And actually, maybe what it takes to retain a title is to change your really successful coach and bring in an equally successful coach that has a lot of pressure. Carlos Ortega and John Laporta exchanged an amazing hug. He's here to stay. Barcelona, Kielce played an unbelievable final. 2 very worthy teams. Give a shout out to Berta Servas, who is going to be really sad right now, but Barcelona, very deserving champions.